Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is November 22nd, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see the Gulf of Alaska trough, that moisture streaming into western and southwest BC. That's going to be sagging south across the area as we go through the day today and tomorrow. Then we've got some more impactful weather coming in on Thanksgiving Day week. You're going to want to watch this because we have some issues with the travel back and forth across some of the mountain passes and maybe even some of eastern Washington here as well with some lower elevation snowfall. We'll take a look at the latest on that, and we'll take a look on the latest on the position of some of that Arctic air that's going to try to slide down across some of northwest Canada here, and I'll show you the latest on that in a moment. Lots to talk about here. So taking a look at the visible satellite imagery, there we go with the sun rising across the region. You see there's Mount Rainier, there's Mount Adams, there's Mount Hood, and then we scroll on in through this morning, and you can see a lot of these clouds here, they aren't moving. That's because that fog is socked in across some portions of Idaho, eastern Oregon. The Willamette Valley is really socked in here as well, and some of eastern Washington dealing with those foggy conditions, and maybe even a lenticular cloud or two across portions of Mount Rainier here today. But this moisture will be sliding south, and that'll be impacting Bellingham here probably pretty quickly as well. If I put the radar on there, you can actually see it's probably already just starting across some portions of Bellingham as we speak. But this will be sliding south. Now, if you guys want to go to my spread shop here, you can see I got some merchandise with my logos on it. Let me know if you guys think of any new ideas for logos. And if you click on this, you go to one of my videos and you go down here, you should be able to click on that. I'll also put it in the description down below as well today. Now, this is what the shop looks like. You can change these colors, you can change these logos. It's a little bit clunky here, but it's got some good stuff, especially the men's premium hoodie. I wear a few of these. They're very well made. I've had one for like 3 years now, and it's still not showing any really signs of wear. So great stuff there. Now, taking a look here at the European. This is hot off the presses, 12Z data. So as we scroll on in through the day today into tomorrow morning for Seattle, Portland, some of that rainfall, the Cascades of Oregon getting some rainfall, even Eastern Oregon, Eastern Washington as we go through Sunday and Sunday night. Some rainfall coming across the region. Kind of a chilly upper level low swings through. It's a little bit moisture start, but then a more substantial system starts to arrive as we go through potentially Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, Tuesday night. You can see some of the snow flying for the Cascades of Washington, Oregon by the time we get towards late Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning. So you really got to watch when you're traveling back and forth. Please check back tomorrow. We'll try to fine tune some of the timing on this, but you might want to wrap up your travel on the day Tuesday. And then you can see some eastern Washington stuff, and it even shows a little bit of freezing rain there, maybe some cold air trapped in some of the passes as we bring some warmer air in with this next mid-latitude cyclone towards Vancouver Island as we go on into the day Wednesday night, and a pretty rainy day here for many locations on Thursday, Thanksgiving. It looks like a pretty rainy day for Spokane, some eastern Oregon, Washington, Willamette Valley. So yeah, expect that. And we'll scroll in the future a little bit more here. And in fact, I'll stop it there because I got plenty to show you for the extended forecast here in a moment. But looking at accumulated positive snow depth change in inches, you can see as we go through tomorrow morning, you get some for a few inches for the North Cascades. But as we go on in towards Tuesday afternoon and evening, you can see that start to pile up. Actually, Tuesday night, I should say. Snoqualmie Pass, Stevens Pass, White Pass. Some substantial snowfall is possible. So you really got to watch that. You can see it piling up there as you go through the day on Wednesday. Now, if we zoom in on that here a little bit, you can also see what's bringing some lower elevation snowfall, perhaps down to I-90, maybe a Destina snowfall, better amounts for Highway 2, so do take that into account. That's happening on Wednesday morning. Maybe a couple inches, maybe a bit more here in the surrounding areas around Spokane, some of the east slopes of the Cascades. And again, Stevens Pass, a pretty good blast of snow there. It looks like it's coming Tuesday night into Wednesday, and Snoqualmie Pass also getting some measurable snow, White Pass as well. And even a little bit here for the Oregon Cascades, maybe impacting some of the higher passes also. So high sneaker wave threat, just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Vancouver Island, Washington, Oregon coastlines here. Don't turn your back on the ocean. And you can see the dense fog advisories out there as well. I scrolled all the way out here through hour 144, and you can see typical stuff. Nothing shouldn't be too much of a surprise with what I just showed you as far as precipitation totals are concerned. Now, the 12Z data is in. In fact, I'm going to skip this one and we're going to go right to this because this is a 12Z GFS. Now, I've seen this on social media. Some crazy model runs are still showing up at times, but I got to I got to bring us back down to earth a little bit here, but let's go off into the GFS. You see some of this colder air making its way into northern British Columbia here as we go on in towards, this is Thanksgiving nighttime here, and then we go on into next Friday, and then Friday night and Saturday. You see some of this Arctic air. The GFS just wants to continue to drive some of this Arctic air down across interior portions of British Columbia, and then look at this. It flows out all the way into western Washington, western Oregon. Look at this very cold air into eastern Washington. This is a pretty good Arctic blast here. But again, I'm going to show you some of the better performing models here in a moment. But look at that, kind of sags down across the region. So you can't completely discount that at this point, but you really got to throw up the caution flags if you're looking at this stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, we got an Arctic outbreak coming as we go towards the end of November. That is not necessarily the case here, folks. If we take a look at the European hot off the presses 12Z data, let's see what it shows. In fact, I have not even looked at this one yet. I've looked at the artificial intelligence, and that's one's coming next. But let's scroll through here. So we go towards the end of November, and you can see it does have some coming to the interior portions of British Columbia here, but not nearly as cold, and some of that does get into eastern Washington and eastern Oregon as we go through the end of next week, and you can kind of see that the bulk of that cold air though still slides down east of the Rockies, and you can kind of see the ridge out here across the Gulf of Alaska driving that colder air down back into central portions of the USA. Now let's take a look at the artificial intelligence. What will it show? Probably the best performing model. So that's why I'm telling you guys to use caution. If you see people showing those GFS maps, did you see anything come down into the interior of British Columbia? Maybe just the tiniest bit of some cooler air, but the bulk of that again stays east of the Rocky Mountains. So you can see the problems that meteorologists have trying to combat some of this information out there, because the GFS, again, pretty big Arctic outbreak. The artificial intelligence is like, nope, nothing at all. It's all staying east of the Rocky Mountains. So if we take a look here also in the artificial intelligence, you can see that we're not dealing with anything too extreme temperature wise as we go through the next 2 weeks or so. Now, this is kind of a useful map because it shows daily min 2-meter temperature in Celsius. So when you hit the silver, that's below freezing. So this is Sunday morning. You can kind of see there's some select areas with some below freezing out there. And then you can get off into Montana and some of the Rocky Mountains, Idaho there in eastern Oregon. And it gets pretty chilly out there, granted. When we go through Monday morning, you can see that a little bit below freezing there across eastern Washington. But you can see Seattle, Willamette Valley, Southwest BC, not below freezing. Then we go to Tuesday morning. So maybe some of the outlying areas even dropping down below freezing here, even west of the Cascades, and pretty chilly temperatures there east as well. And then we go on in through Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning. So again, the National Blended Model is not showing that. You can kind of see the passage of that Arctic air east of the Rocky Mountains as we go towards the end of the month, but not much getting into the region. That's probably the best bet right now. Now, take a look at the extended forecast. I'm going to go all the way to the end of that. You can see what is, as we go through December into January, it looks like a little bit of a La Nina flavor here. The ridging out here across the Gulf of Alaska and south of the Aleutian Islands. That's kind of where you want it. And maybe some cooler weather here for us in Western Canada into the Pacific Northwest. But that's just purely looking at tea leaves. Of course, we've got a long time. It's nothing really to worry about at this point. And you can kind of see some potential for some cooler air showing up at times in the extended forecast. But again, just purely entertainment purposes only. Check out my Patreon page if you like as well. I post all my daily updates here, and it's much more reliable at pushing out these updates so you can see exactly when my videos come out. Otherwise, hope you guys are having a good day. We'll do this all again tomorrow. We'll break down that snow chance across the higher terrain in eastern Washington and check out the travel plans going back and forth. But otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next forecast.